Hi, this is Nikolai from Bunker Samples, and this is Bunker Strings Volume 1 2.0. That's right, Bunker Strings has been updated with a new design, new features, and a little bit of new content. And it's free to existing users. Before we had 78 patches, but now this is the entire file structure. As you can see, there is a longs and a shorts patch per instrument, and that's it. That's because all the longs have been consolidated into their own paths and can now be selected via these buttons, which also functions like key switches. They're hiding down here, starting from C-2. And that brings me to the first new feature, which is auto purge. If you watch the RAM count and we turn this on, you will see that it drops. What this does is purge any samples that is not needed for whatever articulation you have selected at the moment. So if you select another articulation, it will purge and update the sample pool. This is useful for saving RAM, but if you're using this as a key switch patch, I would leave this off. Apart from that, everything else is the same. You have the 4 single articulations here and the 3 combo articulations. And you can always see out here whatever you have selected. So this is the soft pitch ensemble, the loud pitch, the drumstick trem, great for horror, the ricochet trem, and as you can hear, the density slider still works exactly the same way by changing the ensemble size and increasing the density of the texture on the fly. Then we have the combo articulations, the soft shimmery pits into the loud pits, the pizzicato into drumstick tremolo, and finally pizzicato into ricochet trem. And speaking of ricochet trem, the missing bass ricochet trem has now been recorded and has been added. So let's take a look at the bass. And here is the ricochet trem. Another new feature are these 2 buttons, which is actually a toggle switch. You may recall from Volume 1 that you had a normal patch and an extra dense patch per instrument. That has now been built right into the GUI. So with the normal patch, you have 2 round robins. But if you turn off twice the density, you lose a round robin, but you basically get twice the orchestra size. It layers the same sample with itself, but it starts playback in 2 different positions. And if we compare that to the single, the dense again, on the combo articulation, that makes it extra huge. The rest of the instruments are exactly the same. Here are the cello. As you can see, the layout of the articulations is the same across all the patches. You have the standard attack and release controls. And the stereo width knob has been updated with a new graphic that better represents what it does. So you can collapse the image to mono. And you can make it extra wide. Command or control click to set back to neutral. This is the way it was recorded. And of course you can pan your stereo signal. Which is useful if you're mixing bunker strings with other libraries, which is what it kind of is intended for. The violas are the same. And so are the violin. And these shorts now have their own pads with their own functionality. The new feature for the shorts is this here, auto fade. Now, if you have a long release time, keep an eye on the voices here. It can very quickly add up, but if you turn auto fade on, now look what happens. What this does is if you play a single note, it will play for as long as the release is set. But if you play another note, it will fade out the first note. In a way, this is more realistic. If you play a pizzicato and then move your finger to play another note, the first note stops ringing out. So this makes the pad slightly more realistic, but it also saves on your voice count. But it is, of course, a drier sound. It also works with chords, as long as you play within 50 milliseconds. Same goes for the bass shorts, the cello shorts, viola shorts, and the violin short. The bonus synth pads have also been consolidated into a single instrument. You can set articulation here, and you can turn on auto perch, which is very useful because some of these pads are quite large. Attack, decay, sustain, release, standard stuff. Apart from that, everything works as before. And that's it. This is a free update for existing customers, and I hope you find the new interface, the new functionality, and the new bass ricochet trim useful. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one. Bye bye.